Well, it's raining out right now, so I decided to put some fire blocking in the front wall. The walls are 10 feet high, so essentially that's a 10-foot chimney if a fire broke out. So the blocks are supposed to keep the fire in the section and reduce the chimney effect. So that's my project right now. It would have been easier, I think, to do this before I put up insulation. That's what I did in the rest of the cabin. But it was really cold last fall, and I wanted to stay warm, so I threw up the insulation in this wall without the fire blocks. So now I have to go back and cut the insulation and screw the block in. And each block, I cut a bunch of these to size for 16-inch spacing, but each one has to be custom fit, so it's not as easy as I thought. This is the west wall, which I put the fire blocking in before I put up the insulation. So I've got a 2x6 in between each bay. You can't see those over there, but you can see them here. Don't know if I really need it, but can't hurt. Beef up the walls a little bit too. Alright, that wall's done. Got all the fire blocks in. Move the stove back against the wall now. My first shipment of tongue and groove pine arrived. Truck just left. Now I have to move all this down to the basement where I'll polyurethane it. So I just put the first coat of polyurethane on my tongue and groove pine. A rack I built is holding it nicely. My work area here, I got a couple of sawhorses over by the entrance to the cellar so I can breathe when I put the polyurethane on, and then I move them back there to dry. So these boards have one coat of polyurethane on them. So I'm going to sand them down now, clean them up, and then put a second coat on. This is a water-based polyurethane by Minwax. It's a low sheen finish. I don't want these shiny. Real thin coat is all it needs, especially the second coat. I'm going to be doing this polyurethaning for a long time. This is roughly only 10% of what I need for the inside of the cabin. Luckily, this stuff doesn't smell too bad. Doesn't have much of an odor to it, so I don't get high down here. This is another view of my drying rack for the tongue groove pine that I'm polyurethaning. Just stick the boards up there, let them dry until they get the second coat. Seems to be working well. So I've got 15 boards up there all ready to go. So this is my staining assembly line. I stain the boards up on the sawhorses and then put them down on those blocks to the left to dry. And I got a few more here to stain next. This is the shiplap. That's what it looks like when it comes from the lumber yard. So the weather's held off. It's been partly cloudy, so I haven't had to stand out in the direct sun, which is good. Well, I got all 14 of them stained. That's a new record for an afternoon's work. So I'm pretty happy with that. Next, put them up on the back and on the east wall. Now this is where I started, beginning of this trip. That's what has left to be done on the back. And this is what has to be finished on the east side. I think I have enough wood to do it all. So this is how you rip a board without a table saw. Take this out. So mark my line, clamp one end of the board down, cut my board almost to the end, then I gotta swap the clamp onto the other end to finish my cut. So this whole cabin, all I've used is these Ryobi cordless tools. No table saw, no chop saw. Yeah, it takes longer. It may not be as precise, but it's good enough. So this is the top of the window where it meets the shiplap on the side, and got to cut a piece to fit on top here. So the next piece will go over it. So I had 3 windows here to do. That's the first one, that's the second one, and the third one down there. So it took me most of the morning just to cut pieces to fit in there. But now they're in, and I can put a long piece over the top and continue nailing up the siding. Well, everything's tacked in. Put the long board above the windows, and came out pretty good. I fudged a bit, but no one will know but me. And these boards between the windows, I'm going to move some of them up and down just to even out the spacing. But that was the hardest part of this back wall, fitting around the windows. Now we can get on to some production type work. Beautiful day up here. Now if you can hear the wind in the trees. This is where I left off on the east side. I'm almost to the top of the window there with the siding. It's getting later in the day and I'm getting tired, so I don't like to be up on a ladder when I'm tired. Next thing is to do some weed whacking of the weeds around the yard. And, that's a view of the back, south side, that we finished up this week. I gotta take this ladder down now too. This thing is a beast for one person to pick up and down. I usually can walk it up and down, but it was sliding in the sandy soil here. So I put some stakes in the ground there to rest the bottom on, so it wouldn't slide out from under me. So that'll be the last heavy lifting task of the day. Well, that's going to do it for this trip. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.